one common challenge that I see comes from people, and I'm sure you probably hate this one the most because I can guess what you might say about it, but it comes from people who say, hey, I'm a Nigerian Christian and none of this is happening. So here are a couple of quotes that I pulled off of X under one of these posts. Someone said, quote, I'm a Nigerian Christian residing in Nigeria, but this propaganda of yours and the American people is unfounded and ridiculous. You guys used similar tactics to decimate and destroy Libya, end quote. Another one said, quote, reading this as a Nigerian Christian that has lived all his life in Nigeria, never traveled abroad before, I'm wondering, is there another Nigeria? End quote. So what's going on here? Are these fake accounts like bots that people are just using for propaganda for maybe the Muslim cause in this? Are they actually Christians who maybe live in Nigeria and are actually unaware of what's going on? What is this about?
Well, I'll be very blunt and I'll put it this way. The Nigerian government is spending lots of money to counter the narrative that genocide is happening against Christians in Nigeria. So they have been spending millions of dollars paying people to go online to make statements to say that there is no Christian genocide happening in Nigeria. They're even paying off Christian leaders.
And you know this for a fact. You're not just hypothesizing.
100%. 100%. 100%. So, I run one of the things we haven't talked about yet. I run a website called truthnigeria.com. The government contacted one of our top journalists to offer him money to counter the narrative.
Wow.
I am not kidding. And
so you have firsthand knowledge that the government is working to have people online, even just on social media. I mean, it sounds so funny that, an entire sovereign government would be paying people to be on X making comments under posts, but you're saying, no, that's legit. That's what's happening.
It's very, very legit. Remember, Nigeria is a very impoverished country, very impoverished. And you got a pastor who's not making very much money. Nigerian government says, hey, we're going to give you money to go do this. He'll be like, oh, okay, sure. They're pastor in name only and they're Christians in name only. But this is very common in Nigeria for people to get paid to lie. And they do this all the time. And they like to lie to themselves. And they'll have a lie that's so great and so wonderful, they even have a party celebrating their lie. This is how Nigeria works. It doesn't make any sense to us really in the West how some of this happens, but this is a very common thing in Nigeria. And there are people for a little bit of Naira, which is Nigerian currency, will sell their people out in a heartbeat just to make a couple extra bucks. And I've seen this firsthand. And like I said, it happened to one of our guys at Truth Nigeria just within the last 2 weeks.
That is incredible. Is it fair to say then that if someone is actually a Christian in Nigeria, they know what's going on? Like there's no way that maybe they just live in a village somewhere in the South that's predominantly Christian. They're just not hearing about what's going on in the North. I mean, there's no way that any of that's happening, right?
We have the other trouble of this. Okay. So remember I said you have Southern tribes, you have the Yoruba, you have the Igbo, and some of those other ones. They're not being affected by what's happening up north. Their people aren't being killed. Their people aren't being targeted and slaughtered. So tribal wise, they're like, oh, that's happening to them. Oh, if it comes to us, yeah, we'll stop them. We'll beat them. But they're not going to come to the aid of the other tribes being attacked up north. Okay. So you have that problem. The other problem you have is in the South, especially, you have some of the largest churches in the world that are Christian that are hyper prosperity churches. Okay. And I have seen some of these hyper prosperity pastors say that the Christians are being killed up north because they didn't have enough faith and they didn't sow enough seed.
Oh my goodness.
So they live in their own little bubble down there with a very bad hyper prosperity theology that has infected a lot of the South. And we see some of this, even in the Middle Belt where you do have some large churches in the Middle Belt that haven't been attacked or been affected, but those pastors won't say one word because they're afraid it'll jeopardize their church, their current operation.
Wow. This is a striking example of how bad theology actually kills people.
Yes. Bad theology does kill, which also goes into the part, what makes our mission controversial to some is that we do work with village security teams. We do get involved in wanting to protect Christians, and some bad theology has entered in Nigerians where they thought it was a sin to get involved in politics and a sin to get involved in even self-defense of your families and homes. And we're trying to correct that theology on the ground with pastors and churches.